Well, good morning, fellow creators. It is, what is it? 7:45, Saturday, May 25th. Let's get going. So despite being a little warm down here this morning, it's been warm all week. It's just finally made its way to the studio. I'm trying to dry this brush off, which could be a while before I can do the next layer of this anyway. Painting I've been working on, made some progress on last week. I'm in the process right now of adding several thin glazes to the bottom of this, or bottom half rather, to get this fade, foggy, misty cloud look, which I can only do in several layers of zinc white and not necessarily doing everything all at once. So it's got to be put a layer on, let it dry, put a layer on, let it dry. So long process before I can do sort of the upper final layers of the piece. Oh, final layers. It's like maybe 60% done. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that to dry in varying layers, it's probably going to be like an hour for each layer. Probably should have done it all week long, which would have been the smart thing to do. But every time I've been coming home from work the past couple of days, I've been just completely exhausted. Like, I come home, I eat dinner, and I pretty much immediately go to bed. I'm hoping that I can make some headway on some new projects, possibly something, possibly a nice big painting. But for this morning, took the time to back my car out of the garage because I'm going to go ahead and throw the splatters down onto these. Okay, so I've found out that the best paint to use for these splatter bases is house paint. I went through a whole lot of... Well, I should probably shake this first, shouldn't I? There's a certain resinous stringiness that comes from house paint that you literally cannot get with like a mixed acrylic or a gesso without adding some mediums. And this is just much easier to do it with a can of... Ooh, that's been sitting way too long. Do I have a paint stirring stick? I certainly hope so. If not, I might have to go improvise one. This dowel rod out. Probably not really wide enough, but it should be alright. Anyhow, I've got this paint color that I used on my kitchen, which is just sort of a slightly off-white. Looks like a lot of the brown that's in it has floated to the top. So I just need to give it a little finesse. Anyhow, while I'm doing this, turn to the side so you guys can see me better. The goal anyway is to just use a bit of this in a more specialized, smaller container, like this yogurt cup, so I'm not wasting as much of it. This is nice to have extra paint of the paint that you use in your house, around your house. That seems a lot more mixed now. Okay. Yeah, see that? Nice, long, resinous. I don't know how much that shows up on camera, but that's what I'm looking for. And it happens to work really well with these particular types of paints. You'd think, you do 15 or so splatter pieces, you finally figure out a technique by the end of it. All right, let me put this on the floor so even in case I do spill it, I can, not worry about spilling it. Also might thin these a little bit, although it's really just about getting the right movement. So like a quick, direct, like that. That's all right. Probably could have used a little more. Might give that a second pass, but we'll see here. Yeah, I gotta give it a nice in and back, and just, God, it still had that same problem. I'm not putting it far enough. I mean, it'll spread itself out anyway a little bit. I put these down this way, but I'm realizing I needed them to be like that way more. But that's okay, I can just do that as long as I'm careful. It feels bad I covered up all my hard work with the other stuff, but that is better. Now this one I'll just tilt this way more. Go this. Go like this. Yeah, I probably should have thinned it. just to keep things more interesting that way. The idea is to do more vertical compositions on these. That's a little better. It's also why the drop cloth is nice, helps ease off the other stuff. Okay, let me start over here this time. That's better. Can totally understand why Pollock loved doing this kind of thing, because it's so freeform. I was thinking, if I spray it lightly with water, I'll probably be able to take care of the issue with the bubbles without having any major issues otherwise. Pretty amazing that I started this whole project back in, February? And people are like, why is art so expensive? Maybe because it takes several months to make. Okay, let's see if this spray bottle thing works the way I'm thinking. Oh yeah, it's perfect. Oh, but it's causing it to bleed. Oh, fuck, I didn't think about that. Well, as long as I don't use too much water. Yeah, a little bit of water helped. That side, that one got too much water. Deal. I've really been lacking a lot of sort of mental inspiration. I've had a hard time working lately. But just seeing these splattered out now really has my ideas flowing through a bit more. And I'm dying to paint something big. Like I did a couple of big pieces, one in particular earlier in the year. Big sprawling Beardstadt-esque landscape, you know. I want to do one. I want to do another one of those. All right, that looks all right. I think I can live with that. All that friggin' 2 months it takes to get all that oil paint to dry, and I cover most of it up. But to be fair, I wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do with it when I first made it. I was just messing around in the studio one night. And that's how some of the best work comes out. All right, you guys are probably sick of looking at my feet. I'm gonna get back inside. So in the realm of other news, apparently West Virginia has nothing better to do than to send out random travel packages to people in Pittsburgh. On the plus side, the best thing about these kind of little magazines is they've got tons of landscapey things in them. So, good book to have around the studio as a jumping off point, especially for finding new inspirations and stuff like that. Plus, there's a map. And maps are even better for different things, especially, I would say, cutting them up and using them in mixed media projects. So yeah, cool things got for free. Okay, that is not quite dry enough for me to hit the next layer yet, because I do have to I'm thinning paint between layers, and if I try it now, it's going to rip that paint right off. But I can probably start doing some of these upper islands, because they're not in need of the same frosting layer that that the lower parts are. So I'm probably going to work on that, and at the same time start brainstorming some bigger painting ideas, and maybe get out a big canvas to have a look at exactly what kind of size. Actually, I've got this big wood panel. It's the one from was it late last year? The wood panel Lazarus. The one I found at the secondhand store and sanded back to reality. So this could be really fun. I think I had originally I'd given this a layer of feels like probably clear gesso. So what I'd like to do with this is probably give it the feathered edge technique, where what I'll end up doing is taking gesso and just not going all the way edge to edge, but using just the brush itself to kind of like feather it up so you still see the wood on the edges. Either that, or I won't use the white gesso at all and I'll just start painting. Actually, I like that idea better. And then I'll just keep it up to the edges at a certain point. So that'll probably be pretty good. And then the only thing, once I kind of have a general idea of where things are, I'll re-sand those spots and then just stain these, the edges and such. Maybe, I don't know. I can't decide. Either way, it's a fun idea. It's kind of why I used the clear gesso on this. I mean, the surface of this has a lot of imperfections anyway, so I don't want to totally go nuts with preserving the wood grain, because it's got problems. Plus the edges of these still has paint on the edge of the panel. So in the grand scheme of things, just painting the whole thing black would probably go a long way too. But some big sprawling landscape on this could be really, really fun if I can just find the right idea for it. So I'm going to set this over here and use it as my thought-provoking jumping off point for some kind of new piece while I work on this one. All right, so it looks like I'm about good to go for the next layer here, that I'm not worried about ripping anything up. I am going to start threading in a little bit of titanium white with the zinc, just because I need to start getting it to be a little bit cloudier. I am also continuing to mix in with a little bit of this white and what I use for this, the Titan buff and Nicolazo yellow for a little bit of a yellow in that. Still want to maintain the warmth of daylight. Mix that with some regular white, off yellowish. Don't need more than maybe that much of that throughout the white. I'm basically just making varying glazes. Thinning. I have been thinning with water, though I think for this layer I'm going to grab a little bit of some kind of acrylic medium. A little high flow medium should be fine. And this is why I have this big brush. I bought it for varnishing, but it actually is better for glazing, I've found over the course of time here. So it's going to be the brightest and sort of whitest at the bottom. And everything else is just about getting it to be a slow transition. Need a little water here. Spray bottle. Since this brush is a little too big to fit in that bucket safely. Yeah, that's better. Just bringing all of that misty upper layers into there. And this piece, I think I had mentioned last vlog, is based on Tears of the Kingdom, so as a result you're going to have that hazier cloud layer, especially if from where I'm putting the characters it makes sense to do that. That's not bad. You can always take it up just a little bit more, but not down. All right. That might be as opaque as I want that. I mean, it's pretty minimal as it is, but any more than this, and I think it's going to be too much. Kind of streaky with this brush. So I'm going to grab a mop and really feather this out. So one of the best things for a nice soft acrylic transition is a nice dry mop brush to just kind of buff everything out. There will be some overlaying clouds here too, something more opaque along with the islands, but I'm getting a lot of glare from just my angle here, so I'm making sure I'm not getting too much or too little on that side. Yeah, I knew I had to do that slowly with just a couple. This was, I think, the third or fourth layer of a white glaze, just to bring that up, and that slight bit of titanium white really helped kind of bring a little bit more fog into that as well. So that's good. All right. Thing with this mop brush is I have to clean it immediately, otherwise it gets terrible. Okay, as long as I'm careful here and not dragging my hand too far onto this, I think I'm okay. It's doing a lot of flipping here mostly. Okay, well, I actually need to take a little bit of a break. It's a lot warmer down here than I thought it was, or it might just be getting warmer. So I'm actually going to go sit in a slightly less warm part of the house and cool off while this dries, and I'll also eat breakfast since I actually am rather hungry this morning. A couple of fried eggs or something sounds good. Okay, so it is about noon now. Long break for you guys, not so much for me. I know a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I went upstairs and I started playing games, and there went the rest of the afternoon. Not so much today. I did go upstairs. I did play games for about a half hour just to kind of clear my head a little bit. And now I'm back in it and have been back in it for a while. So let me show you what I've got going on. The islands are in and a bit highlighted now. I'm still going to throw some grass in on top of them, as well as some hanging moss and things coming off of the other ones to unify everything. Once I get all that done, I'll have some overlying clouds to do, but probably not until that layer is completely dry, so that'll probably be a tomorrow thing. While I was also taking the break from this, I was like, okay, let's actually buckle down and come up with an idea for that wood panel that I fished out of the corner. A bit of iterative design, but I came up with something that, of course, will not show up. Nope, hold on. Take the whole camera with me. So, this design, again, came from a couple of different things, boiled everything down. Came up with this river leading into a bay or a lake or something. There's a big tree back here. Really, it's like a little bit of everything that I love to do and a little bit of everything that I love to challenge myself with. In working on the sketch, I also found myself thinking back to last year I played through Tales of Vesperia. Really fun game, and in that game you visit a location a lot in that game where it's this big central tree in the middle of a field. Obviously this is in the middle of a lake, slight difference in inspirational things like that. I gotta turn on the backlight thing. Everything's coming in, you can't see a damn thing now. Anyway, so the right, in the game, so there's a big tree, and it's sort of like this central guardian of this village and of this whole area, right? So I specifically want to do something with a tree in my piece with the pink cherry blossoms. So going to be looking into some reference pictures from the sakura trees that are like all over Japan, as well as leaning into just sort of the idea of this as sort of a spirit, so to speak. So I might be grabbing some. I have my interference blue, possibly some like silver and gold later in the piece, stuff like that. But I think it's really going to be a fun design, and I'm super excited to have that be the next piece in the wings. So I call that Guardian Mother Spirit as the tree is this item, because I had the whole landscape going. I'm like, I need something weird and specific, some big subject in the back. I'm like, yeah, make it a tree, right? So what I've already done with the panel is to paint the edges black, which should be mostly dry now, if not completely. It's not coming up, which is good. So I got to mix some. I have a dark mix. I want to work on the lower end of these islands on here before I jump into this. But once I do get that and get the grass and everything in like that, I'm going to do a sort of a starter stain on this. So I do want to keep the basic wood grain, and I am probably going to paint edge to edge, even though I wasn't planning on to originally, but I also didn't have the idea yet for what I was going to paint yet. I'm probably going to grab some browns, some like a red oxide or like an orange or something for this as a base. So when I'm doing the upper layers with the bluer sky, I have that nice rich warm tones underneath, and the underpainting and everything will show through. And that will probably be topics for either next week's regular art video or the following week's vlog. Not sure yet. Anyway, I'm going to put this back down, grab my brush, and get the darks going for the undersides of this, and I'll give you guys a little more time lapse as I'm working on this. Okay, so I gotta say, I think I may have finally broken myself out of my little painting funk because I am freaking loving how this is turning out so far. It is almost done. I really just need to do those, the upper cloud layers here. It is like just almost there. It's actually really helped that I was slightly more muted with my colors in the background, because all of the heavy saturation I've got on the upper layers is really helping this pop, and I freaking love how this looks. But unfortunately now I do have to wait until tomorrow before I touch it again, or at least until just way later tonight before I touch any upper clouds or anything like that. But really, really fun. Really, really fun. Okay. Setting that aside, because last thing for studio stuff today, probably today anyway, unless I go back, because I'm in such a damn good mood now that I could very well go back and paint more with that and finish it up tonight. But it's going to depend on what the weather's like, because it is still kind of stuffy down here. Okay, I really should just open the window. I have a tiny little window in the corner, but I'm not going to for the time being. So, last thing on the docket today is getting this panel stained. Well, color stained, not so much staining with stain. So, for this, I'm thinking probably a mix of high flows. So I want to get a jar of some kind, or something, to put that in and be able to mix it up, thin it with some water. The clear plastic Talenti ice cream cups. Pints, whatever the hell they are. Pacific Coast Pistachio, yum! Okay, so some of this, start with yellows. I wanted to use up this dialerite actually, since I don't, good old high flows. Shake them, open them, they bubble right onto you. A little bit orange. We'll go naphtha medium. We'll throw in a drop of diox to brownify it. Well, the red took effect. That's about it. Put a little bit more red in. And I'll slowly add some purple as I kind of see fit. That's, it's kind of orangey. So the diox should tone it way down once it gets to be in there enough. I need to get a mixing stick. As powerful as diox is, it's really not doing much in this. More! Closer! More! 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 That's alright. Add a little high flow medium to it to thin it a little before I water it down. Kind of basically made like a burnt sienna. Okay, good. That and some water. Just real lightly brush applying this with some, probably not this big brush as much as that would be useful. Oh, I've got this one. Big fat 2-inch angle Liquitex brush. This would be perfect for this. This is pretty rough too because of that clear gesso I have on it. So, with this, I'm going to start applying it in, and we're going to go ahead and call this a vlog for this week. Man, have I done a lot this time around, and I got to tell you, I mean, it's been bright and sunny. The rainstorms that are happening today have not made their way through yet, so it's just been putting me in a great mood, despite being as warm as it is down here and otherwise. So I hope you guys had a blast watching me enjoy myself today. Maybe something I did has inspired you to make something of your own, or something. One way or the other, though, if you enjoyed this, hit that like button. Get subscribed if you're not already for more vlogs like this, usually every other week, unless I get behind and don't have a video. Keep on creating. And this has been from Cinder Studios, and I will see you guys next time. This is going to be such a fun painting to do. Next vlog, I'll probably be working on it.